What's up, you lazy, entitled, basement-dwelling millennials, bootstrapping boomers, apathetic Xers, and goddamn Gen Z kids today? The lesser evil? Again? Question mark?
Right? Yeah. So obviously, vote blue. Down ballot too. Wow, I can't believe that rhymed.
Vote blue, down ballot too. Why is that not a that should be a
right?
slogan?
That should be the slogan, and I just came up with that with my,
You did.
a beer or so in,
Poet and didn't even know it. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's about that level too.
Yeah, it could be on like a Billy Madison or like a Adam Sandler movie, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're talking about the lesser evil right now. It is absolutely the Democratic Party. They're going in some pretty good directions. And then obviously the biggest evil, that the biggest reason is to not have another Donald Trump presidency.
Yeah. Less fascism.
Yeah, less fascism, less Project 2025, less doing things that a president should be doing because you have presidential immunity now. Not to say that like Kamala wouldn't do anything that or like use that to her favor in some way now that it's available. But I have no doubt in my mind that Trump would completely
1,000%
take advantage of all that immunity versus I don't think that Kamala would do anything that's ethically like questionable in
terms of presidential immunity.
Right.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, this feels like the least lesser of two evils we've had in a very long time.
Well, yeah, especially because of our guy.
Yeah, with Walz on the ticket, it makes you feel real good about it. Because I do feel that Walz has the ability to try to hold the administration accountable. It's not that the vice president has a whole lot of influence on stuff, but
well, anything that he does is going to have that tone of progressivism in what he's doing. So,
and
there's that.
And so I think that's good. And this is the first time in a very long time that we have a candidate on the ticket for VP who is not a party dem, a corporate party dem.
True.
Because like Obama was a little bit of a outsider as far as like Democrats went, but he had Biden as the weight on that ticket.
Yeah.
And then Clinton went with fucking, what was the Virginia governor's name? The dude who was like made of purely Wonder Bread and mayonnaise.
I don't even know.
Oh,
I don't know vice presidents after like
it was Hillary's running mate. It wasn't even a VP. It was. It felt like it was another Tim or something.
I want to say like John Tester, but I know it's not John Tester. But it felt like something like that. But he's like used now as like the vice presidents don't matter because that guy didn't.
Right.
Which is like, kinda. But
well, I mean, she lost, so he kind of did, obviously. Like, it wasn't a good offset to the ticket.
Mike Pence mattered for Donald Trump's presidency. Joe Biden probably didn't matter that much for Obama because Obama didn't need it. Like,
no,
he was the show.
Obama was a one-man show. Yeah, I mean, they had the like sitcom cut takes like behind the scene
when Facebook was just coming out. That they did good. It was fine, and then obviously you got a disaster in Dick Cheney for fucking 8 years, and
Dick Cheney was basically president. I'm fairly certain.
Especially for foreign policy. Like, he basically ran the foreign policy. And because fucking Bush just always wanted to be on his ranch, Cheney was just doing this president shit. So like VPs can have some pretty big effects.
And honestly, Kamala has been one of the most hands-on VPs.
She's I don't think like anything probably wouldn't have happened if she wasn't involved with it. But like, it's good to have her like doing things that the public can see that make a difference for them. So
I don't know. I still need to do more of a complete composite profile of her time as VP, but I know the individual pieces she's definitely been.
Except for she's the border czar, and look at the border now. I like how they gave her that title, and then they like expect her to meet their standard of what that's supposed to mean for Fox News Republicans. Like, she's not the fucking border czar. She's like a liaison to the countries of the people that are potentially coming over the border. She doesn't even deal with the border personally. Like she just talks to the other nations to help them, help us by not sending, allowing as many people and trying to make it more stable, the countries that they're actually living in, so people stay there, doing the thing that we should be fucking doing if we actually wanted to not have more migrants coming over the border.
No, it's I mean, and that's always the case. And honestly, one of my biggest frustrations with this whole campaign season has been the Biden administration Hail Marrying the Overton window on the immigration industry. It's like
that's probably my biggest fault of the Biden administration is their response to immigration. Not the immigration crisis necessarily, just immigration.
Yeah, it was that border bill or the immigration bill that they did. I'm so glad it failed. And I'm glad we can give Republicans shit about, like, they just took the bill you wrote and were like, okay.
Basically.
And then you're like, no, we don't want that anymore because you're gonna because you
coming
touched
from
it.
you.
Yeah, like, we can't do that.
It's got cooties on it now.
And it's like, so you guys are literally the worst people at governing in the world.
Well, and
but then
it's hilarious that that directive came directly from Trump too. So it's like, clearly it's not about immigration. It's not about helping Americans.
So that frustrated me that they even put that bill on the table.
Yeah. And then the executive order that he did was
the executive order was like, I wanted to just, because it vindicated every single thing that they had said. Yeah. Like, you're just like, all right, you're saying that this made up issue that they have is a legitimate issue.
Right.
That they've been right about it the whole time. And that you have done too little, too late till, and it's like none of that's true, and you're just doing it to pander to their propaganda. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And so
immigration, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit later too. But that is the worst thing.
That and Palestine, the way that they've handled, not necessarily Palestine, but the way that they've handled Netanyahu and Israel. Like, obviously, we're not involved in Palestine directly.
Right.
But the way that we've handled our foreign policy with that issue has been,
not to say that we've ever handled foreign policy well.
No.
Really in general. But.
Nope, and definitely not in that particular region either.
Oh, yeah, definitely that.
But that has been not great.
Yes, definitely less than great. Less than good.
Yeah. Otherwise, and then during the debate when they're like, I support Israel more, and you're like, no, I support Israel more. Like, well, I can hit a golf ball further than you.
No, I can. Yeah, that was pretty bad too.
Painful moment in U.S. history.
Obviously,
right
that
there.
debate led to him
stepping down.
Yeah, which, I mean, a lot of the people at the DNC have been thanking Joe for doing that, and it's like, legitimately, non-ironically, thank you for stepping the fuck down. Like, honestly,
absolutely.
Like, he didn't have to.
Emily saw a meme or like a short video. Have you seen Inside Out?
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. So when they're trying to get out of like the Forgotten Memories place,
right?
And they're like the rocket ship thing.
No, I know you're going with it.
And the
clown guy,
clown elephant, whatever, Bingo Bombo, I don't remember whatever his name was. They're like, we're not gonna make it, we're gonna make it, and then they look behind and it's him, but they like plastered Biden's face on it or whatever. Like, go Riley, and it's Kamala going. It's like, it's honestly a pretty good, pop culture representation there.
Yeah. I mean, movies are basically the best thing that America exports to the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
Entertainment industry.
Definitely have.
Obviously, we need to, because if we didn't have entertainment industry, then we'd spend too much time thinking about our capitalist industry.
Yeah,
and that wouldn't work very well.
Start getting all French and shit. And
right.
Well, they don't want that.
Break out the guillotines sort of situation. So what we're saying is Kamala is clearly the better choice. Between Christian nationalist and not Christian nationalist. Yeah, I'll do the non-Christian nationalist. I don't give a fuck if you're somebody who's on the left and is like, you're just, you're giving in to them. It's like, what do you want? Like,
yeah,
if you don't vote, then you can shut the fuck up, or like just say like voting is in our system is, not fair and equitable. It's like, yeah, sure, I guess that's fair. But like, if you're going to say like you want to be involved with a political process and you do want to exercise your vote, then this is the only one that matters.
Yeah.
You could vote for RFK, but it's not going to matter. You could vote for Jill Stein, but that's not going to make a difference either. So if you want to make any kind of difference, then you have to choose.
Yeah.
Which is dumb, but
it is dumb.
That's what we get.
Well, and I think part of the problem comes from the fact that our political process is so complicated, and so many people don't understand it. And so it's really easy to see a third-party candidate and be like, "Oh, I'm disillusioned. I am disenfranchised from the two-party system," which we all are. There's no
absolutely.
We have a two sizes fits all political system,
right.
And you just pick the size that fits you the closest, and it never fits you quite right.
Nope.
Not even close to quite right.
Still get blisters all the fucking time.
So anyway, you get people who see that and don't understand like how the Electoral College works, how gerrymandering in Congress works, and how down ballot and local elections function.
Right.
And so
winner takes all states.
And so they see that, and they see a third-party candidate come in that speaks to them in some way to speak to them, because, it's easy when you're a third-party candidate and you're not going to win. You can promise anything you want. You can say anything you want, and you can, hunky-dory, everybody gets rainbows and unicorns. Vermin Supreme is the best third-party candidate. Like, that's...
Dude, wearing the boot of industry on his head like that, he is sticking a middle finger to the man. Like, that's just pure symbolism in its purest form if I've ever seen it.
Absolutely is.
I was messaging my group of friends last night about RFK and how he might, join the Trump campaign now. And he was like, I don't want him to, my buddy was like, I don't want him to do that. I want to vote for him, for the presidency. And I was once again being like, there's no way he'll win, man.
No.
As a presidential candidate, third party, never held any office before. There's no way he'll win. If he actually cared about making change, he would run for a lower office like House of Representatives, state Congress, whatever, or state
even Senate.
Exactly.
Even national level Senate.
Work with that, promote your policies, form a coalition, prove that you can be effective in any manner in promoting your ideas, much less, making any sort of policy that is helpful for Americans, and then you run. I was like, if you're going to run as a third party without any other political experience, you're basically like a 18-year-old virgin trying to bang your favorite porn star when you're not going to be very good at it, even if you do get in. You're not going to last very long, and you don't even have the game to get in the sheets anyway.
Not the way I expected you to go with that analogy, but yeah, it's fair. It's fair.
It doesn't make sense.
It's like saying you played Pee-wee soccer, and now you expect to go play in the World Cup for I don't know what's a good soccer team.
No, not
Brazil,
even for RFK. It's not even he played in Pee-wee soccer.
Right.
His uncle and his father played soccer.
So that is something that just bothers me. Like I have zero respect for a third party presidential candidate
who has no members of Congress supporting them.
Yeah, and who has never served in any other level
Right.
of, state or national politics. Like if you haven't been a governor, a U.S. congressman, a senator, something where you have experience and understanding of how government works, like you're clearly not doing this to win. You are doing this because you want the attention, you want the fundraising money.
You're getting clout. You want that clout.
You're getting something, you're doing it because you're a Russian asset like Jill Stein. Which, by the way, she's literally a Russian asset. Like,
Whoa, we're gonna hear about this conspiracy theory later, but
later. When's later?
Tomorrow? I don't know.
Okay, cool. I don't know. I mean, she just is. You haven't heard this?
No. Okay, let's talk about it now. What the fuck is that? We did a whole episode, including included her, but this didn't come up.
I haven't done a deep enough dive on Jill Stein, and I usually try to brush the stuff off to the side.
Sure.
The evidence is all there. Like,
did you do your own research?
I did my own research. I saw this YouTube video, man. This guy in his basement has it all figured out. She has interacted with Russian officials and Putin on numerous occasions. Russia obviously spends a lot of time doing disinformation, bot campaigns for Donald Trump and third-party candidates trying to spoil our elections.
Yeah.
And they have put in a lot of time and money and energy into that for her. There's just a lot of connections with her to the Kremlin and to Putin, and it's
do they have like Discord messages, or like what's the how are they actually communicating that you are so
man,
convinced of?
I did not come prepared to have this conversation.
You just brought it up.
I did. That's my fault. I short of sitting here and pulling up all of the stuff that I was reading earlier, which will take it.
Fair enough.
Other people on here. There's photos of Jill Stein with Putin in a meeting.
It was wild to me that if that exists, like an actual photo of two of them sitting next to each other.
Yeah,
like that.
It
that is wild.
does.
Like, why the fuck would Jill Stein ever be sitting next to fucking Putin?
Yeah. Here, just Google Jill Stein with Putin. Just do it quick and Google images. I was gonna show you, but then everything's all plugged in over here.
Is this like a porn thing?
Yeah, it's definitely just gonna be.
This is like a fetish thing.
Furries. And then just Google images it, and she's sitting there at a table with
a bunch of so first of all, it's not just her.
It's not just her and him at that particular photo.
Fucking ad block on this in MSNBC news. But okay, so Mike Flynn, Maya, Willie Wilmer.
But then you scroll down and there's pictures of her with other Russian officials and whatnot. It's just, I don't know. And the fact that like she knows this. I do remember when I did my profile on her too, that she had some very favorable feelings towards Russia versus Ukraine and Russian aggression in the Baltics and stuff like that over the past. Like she's always been like, oh no, that's kind of theirs, because it used to be theirs, sort of not the right takes to have.
Sure. Moscow dinner. So yeah. Just off the 30 seconds that I've been looking at a couple articles, it seems a little bit like a MAGA conspiracy, but just for the opposite side. It feels like it's a conspiracy made from MAGA, so trying to be Russian, disinformation creators about Jill Stein.
But where's the motivation in that? Because they would want the left to be voting for Jill Stein.
Fuck if I know.
See, motivation is always the first part of a conspiracy.
Yeah, okay, you got me there. You got me there. It when I was like reading through like this article, so I don't even want to say it on the air because I did not feel like they're credible at all. But like they were just going through the points, and I was like, this reads a lot like the fucking crazy shit that my MAGA friends send me.
Yeah. I will have to dig it up. And this is why I feel really bad for everybody listening and watching. This is not the type of way I like to share information. I tripped my way into this one, so I apologize. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt because I did not come with the facts in front of me here. I thought we talked about this before, and yeah, I'm take it with a grain of salt. I don't want
This isn't a Killdozer moment.
no. But I saw a video on it laying out the kind of connections that were from a creator I did find credible.
Okay.
Then I also, like I said, when I did my composite biography on her last year, there was like a lot of stuff like there's some weird takes on Russia, but I just left it at that. Is like these are some like weird like why are you pro Russia and them being the aggressors for this kind of stuff? Like all of her foreign policy with Russia is very, very pro Russia. And
yeah, that is fucking weird. That's for sure.
Like you look at any of her foreign policy positions and they're not good. So that was a red flag to me, but I thought it was just like maybe a weird disillusioned US propaganda type thing that she feels is unfairly treating Putin and Russia as the bad guys when they're not, sort of thing, like old U.S. communism propaganda used to be, you know?
Yep.
And I kind of left it as that. But the more I see, the more I'm like, I don't know. And I know that even if she genuinely feels like Russia isn't the bad guy, Russia is happy to exploit her.
So in 2017, a Senate Intelligence Committee looked at her presidential candidate for collusion with Russians. And there's a whole Wikipedia thing here, but yeah, it seems like not much came of it.
Yeah.
Seems like it was mostly surrounding around that candidacy and around the time when Hillary was running and stuff, and so yeah, that's weird.
It's plausible.
It's got something. It's got. I could eat a nibble. I can nibble at it. I can nibble at it.
So but, once again, sorry guys. This is definitely
this is what happens when we, just
this is what happens when we riff. This is totally off script. So
yeah, you haven't any of this written down.
No, none of this at all. So very, very
apologize
sorry
for the 5 to 10 minute rant.
Yeah, and again, I hate sharing information like this. Like this is what this is, and it's because I heard it in this one thing I remember. It's the worst. I hate when people do that. I apologize that I just did that, but.
Well, then I'll start us back here on a couple of my points. So let's say you didn't like Kamala in 2020.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't.
I didn't, no.
And let's say you feel like she hadn't done shit as VP that's worth even considering. And let's say you're one of those people who thinks she has no political positions and, is just riding a fucking vibe wave, which is I'm kind of one of those people to an extent.
Yeah. I mean, I think that her political position is what is the best political position for the next step in my career.
Right. And I don't disagree with that. But let's say if you got all those things and you're like, I'm not convinced, like, or somehow you're one of those magical people who are still
on the fence.
Still on the fence between Kamala and Trump. Tim Walz is your guy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Honestly, I don't even think that it's the people who are on the fence. And this was just something that sort of hit me because I was like thinking about how the poll numbers have shifted so much and everything.
They have a lot.
It's not that it's people have been on the fence about Biden versus Trump or Kamala versus Trump. It's that people were on the fence about voting for the person that was generally on their side. Like, am I enthused enough to get my ass out of bed and go to the polls and vote for this person? And I think that's where the on the fence comes is, do I give a shit enough? And I think
that's fair. It's like, do I care about Biden more than I care about Bridgerton?
Yeah.
I don't know.
and so I think it was a lot less of they're going to vote for one or the other, and it's just, are they going to vote at all?
Okay, yeah, okay. I can definitely agree with that. I think that's probably very likely the case. just people were not enthused about Biden.
Or are they going to vote third party because,
right,
a protest vote.
Right.
Oh, or the ones that are dumb enough to believe they can actually win.
You have to have that cognitive dissonance to a certain extent in order to believe that.
Especially at this point. Like I said, I understood that the political system is incredibly complicated, and I could understand that having a rudimentary understanding of the system being like, well, if we all just get together and enough people vote for him, he's going to win. And it's like that's not how it works.
Theoretically, yes.
It's not even theoretically. Like theoretically, there's in a 3-way split, there is no way that they would get the 270, any of the candidates, if the third party performed as absolutely well as could be hoped. There's still no way that they would get the 270 electoral votes they would need to clinch the election, and then it would go to Congress, and there's nobody in Congress who's going to vote for the third party candidate.
That's true. That's true. If nobody gets 270 and you have nobody in Congress that's backing you, then you're what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Fuck you, people. Theoretical. If we all just vote for him, fuck you, people. You don't even know.
Yeah. Because it's like, and it's like you have to still look at it somewhat. Because theoretically, if you got everybody in the country behind,
right? If you somehow got them to get 270 votes, electoral votes, it's like, okay, sure. You just have to convince 100 million people.
Yeah, half the Democrats and half the Republicans and all the independents to vote for this third-party candidate. And it's like,
who's never held office before, generally.
Yeah, and those Democrats don't want your third-party candidate. Like, you're not going to convince them. Those Republicans don't want those hardcore party voters are voting for their party.
Right.
And and that's hard for some. It's hard for me to understand sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I'm going to vote Democrat because what else other option is there in my mind, because I understand the pragmatism of our electoral system.
I mean, if Bernie was running third party right now, I might just do it because I could not vote for Bernie. But I wouldn't expect it to mean anything than to me personally. But anyways, back to Harris-Walz.
Yeah.
Walz is a pretty darn progressive Democrat candidate, mainly because he's not, the DFL and here in Minnesota is mainstream, just Democratic Party.
Yeah.
As I think a lot of states, they don't have a history of their own Democratic faction within the Democratic Party. I don't even know.
We're the only state that does.
Right. So in that sense alone, he's a little bit of an outsider.
Yep.
While he is still the Democrat governor lead for that committee, so he's
the DFL is still part of the Democratic Party. It was just when we got our farmer and labor parties together to join the Democratic Party, they had their own identities and their own platforms that they wanted to bring to it, and to get that coalition, we needed to include them in the title of the party, which is more than fair.
Yeah.
And so, we've
been pretty successful in Minnesota.
We do everything as part of the Democratic Party, but we still pay homage to those people. And I feel like it's lost a lot of its meaning over time.
Yeah. That's true.
But they're still Democrats, but we're the only ones who have.
We're the only ones who have labor in the name, and I think that makes a difference.
It absolutely does.
It's made a difference for Walz, who's been very pro-union his entire career, and he's basically the most progressive candidate we've had since Walter Mondale, basically.
Yeah.
So, this guy becoming the vice president could give the Progressive Caucus and the progressive movement platform a lot of credibility and a really good cheerleader at minimum. In the White House for 4 to 8 years. And even if he doesn't run for president at 68, whatever, in 2032, as the presumptive, candidate, whatever, he still would probably be a very powerful person in Democratic policy making and just politics in general.
Absolutely.
And so,
well, and it's having that representation. It's mainstreaming some of those ideas and some of those people that's important. I mean, I think that was Bernie Sanders' biggest impact was
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
have a populist candidate who had
who's not scapegoating people, by the way.
Right.
Like one of the few populist movements that don't scapegoat
Mhm.
fuckers, other than
Um,
millionaires and billionaires.
yeah, but he was up there. He was mainstreaming ideas like, hey, universal health care is not that scary of an idea. Hey, like raising the minimum wage is something that could help everybody. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, maybe we should let people go to school and not go bankrupt in the process.
Right.
You know, and having that on the national stage, a real contender for a nominee for president.
Right.
Just despite him not winning, made it like, okay, these ideas are not as crazy as our fucking racist grandpa made them seem, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
And so that's what's important. And even having Walz sit in that seat, if he doesn't have any effect on policy whatsoever, if he gets to platform some of those ideas on the national stage from Washington, D.C., from the White House, that's a big deal.
Yeah, for most policies, he's shifting us more towards the left in the best way possible, in that he is not, in my mind, in any way a socialist candidate.
No.
So, like, he's doing all the things that we would want people to do if they actually cared about people while still maintaining a capitalist, like, society. So, like, all the things that actually help people. So it's like, if you're going to exist in the same way that we exist now, you might as well do all the things that people do, people need, without, the revolution or, whatever. So, like, he's doing all the stuff that we would want somebody to do.
Yeah, I'm very happy he's up there, and I think that is going to move everything in the right direction. I do think it's funny. I've been doing just a ton of Minnesota and Walz content lately because it's popular, and like, why not ride the wave? Like, we get to brag about one of our own on the national stage right now, which is cool. And especially somebody who it's like, there is no guilt in being like, this is my guy. Like, none whatsoever. It's not like, I mean, like, I support him and I'm happy he's from here, but he's got those.
Like, most politicians are like, I like him. He's good enough. Like, he's got some good takes and he's not so great on other stuff.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not perfect.
No,
by
I mean,
any
nobody's
means,
going
but
to be.
He's pretty darn good, baby.
He's as perfect as you're going to get on, politics.
He's not a physical manifestation of our preferred policies. Right. So, like, clearly, obviously, he's not going to be perfect in that sense,
But
it's pretty close.
But I've had people now, because I've been talking, because you get it, like, oh, Minnesota is this hellscape that you're being taxed to death and like burned to the ground, like all this shit, and like I'm like, hey, I live here, guys. I can fucking talk about. I don't even need to do that much research for this one. Like, exactly. I am just here. I just know it because I live it. Know, and that's been cool. And everybody's like, man, am I considering moving to Minnesota? Like, why have you been hiding this from us? We're like, we haven't, motherfuckers. This isn't even the first time we tried to give you a vice president and a president. Like, we were the only ones who didn't vote for Reagan, and we gave you Mondale to not vote for Reagan, and you guys didn't take it. Like,
the rest of the country's like, nah, bro.
Can lead a horse to water, guys. So, like, this is on you, not on us. It's not like we've been hiding it.
We could have shifted the course of the entire country by electing Mondale in a way that would be just like, imagine half of what Reagan has fucked up, and then Mondale actually like fixing some of the shit that he fucked up. Just think about how much better off our country and our world would be.
Imagine, if you will, a world where Carter got reelected.
Ooh.
Mondale was still vice president then.
And then in 1984, Mondale runs. Maybe Reagan runs again for a second time?
Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But if we could have put a bookend on the Carter presidency with 8 years of Mondale.
Oh, my God.
God, can you imagine the world?
I
need Cody to do like
background angel music or whatever. Like, no, we would be right on track with all the OECD countries in quality of life.
Yeah,
by without any reasonable stretches. Like, we would be right up there with the best of them. Instead, we're at the bottom.
So listen to us, guys, because we did this for you 40 years ago. We gave you one of our best, and you're like, you snubbed us, you know?
That's right.
You kicked sand in our eyes, and you told us to go back home, so we did. And now you had to deal with the consequences of your actions, and we've tried to insulate ourselves and make at least Minnesota a decent place to live, and we've done a pretty fucking good job. And now you're all like, oh, why isn't the rest of the country like that? And it's like, well, because you picked Reagan. That's fucking why. And now we're giving you a second chance.
That's true. Probably nobody listening right now voted for Reagan instead of Mondale. Not. We were not even close to being born at the time, so. But if you want to blame anybody, just think about anybody who was alive to vote for Reagan instead of Mondale, or Jimmy Carter for that matter.
Yep.
That election, 80, man.
Yeah, that's when we got on the bad timeline.
It is.
That's when we rolled the 6 from Community.
Or the Snake Eyes.
Yeah. No, that was the bad time. Joanne here in the live said she voted for Carter, and I'm jealous. That would have been a cool thing to be able to vote for Carter, because Carter's probably my favorite president past. Carter's my favorite person as a president for sure, and one of my favorite, definitely top 3. It would go Roosevelt, Carter, in my top 3 favorite presidents
within the 20th century at least.
I think honestly of all time.
All time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even Lincoln or
fuck Lincoln. Okay, not fuck Lincoln, but Lincoln.
I just want to know what his actual plan was for Reconstruction.
That would have been great to see how that would have gone.
That's what I'm saying.
It would have been.
I feel like it would have changed a lot about how Jim Crow fucked America.
Oh, absolutely. No, that was a disaster. Him not handling Reconstruction.
It would be interesting to hear what Thomas Jefferson and George Washington would have to say about our common era right now in the modern politic sphere, and just how they obviously the economy and all that.
Have you ever seen the movie How High?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You know who Redman is?
Redman?
The rapper? Okay, it's this movie from the early 2000s, and Redman, who is a middle tier rapper back in the day, they're in college, and they're not very good at college, and then I don't remember why. I'm totally spoilers, not that it's a movie that really, it's not a real deep plot by any means.
Hey, you got a 6.2 on IMDb out of 10.
But
American stoner comedy film. So you don't have to preface it. It's American stoner comedy film.
So they go and they dig up these historical people.
Yeah.
I don't remember why they decided to dig up the historical people, but anyway, they end up, because it's a stoner film, they end up including their ashes in their weed
and their blunts.
And their blunts, and they smoke them, and these people come to the ghosts and get to talk to these people.
The ghosts of Christmas past.
Yeah,
and they're in their fucking blunts.
And so these people just help them cheat through college basically, so they can graduate because they're too fucking stupid to do it on their own.
But too high.
Oh, Redman's apparently part of the Wu-Tang Clan. That's his claim to fame.
Gotcha.
I'm very white. Okay, this people in the comments.
Yeah, you look tanner than you are on the inside. That's for sure.
For sure. I am Mayo colored to my core. But anyway, so I was gonna say, if we could have a How High moment, bring back George and Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, and
if we're just historical figures, I could open that up a lot. But you said presidents, and Ben Franklin wasn't a president, so.
That's true. Ben Franklin, I think, was one of the ones they dug up and smoked.
Sure. I would like to see Hamilton for sure, because he had a lot of policy positions that.
Yeah. See what he thinks about his play.
Yeah, that too. I want to watch it with him and do a react.
Hamilton reacts to Hamilton.
Dude, that would be awesome. Can we get an AI Hamilton? AI Hamilton reads everything that Hamilton wrote, and then AI Hamilton, we get a comment as he watches it in real time.
That would be hilarious.
That would be incredible. If
techie AI people out there, make this happen.
Set that up. That would be incredible.
We have spent no time on script today.
It's been about 50-50 for sure. So the point of this whole episode is supposed to be that the Democratic Party is not our like party of choice.
No.
Not necessarily. Are they going to potentially do some things that we're for?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but as Bernie just keeps going out and keeps stumping on the fucking points, we can't lift our foot up the gas because corporations and fucking billionaires are not lifting their feet off our fucking throats as the working class.
Nope.
So there are some actual things that we need them to say they're going to do and then actually do in order to like actually get us to approve of them once they get elected. Yeah. So I got a whole long list here because there's a lot of things that America needs to fucking fix.
Absolutely.
So like one is obviously actually doing universal health care.
Yeah. Just like needs to fucking happen. No more of this dicking around with Obamacare was whatever. They tried. It's like at least you tried.
Eliminate private insurance, at least as your main point of
you can have private supplemental insurance if there's something else you want that regular insurance doesn't cover, like boob jobs, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, fuck it. Whatever. But like you should have 100% of necessary health procedures covered.
Yep.
Preventative surgeries, whatever.
Yeah, put the little blue pills on the private insurance and that kind of shit. The balding cream. I don't give a shit about that. But let's make cancer treatment free for everybody.
Right. Do some sort of North Star Promise type education, universal education policy. What that 80,000 is for Minnesotans per family household. Sure, like if that's what it's got to be, fine. Yeah. Something like that. Nationwide.
Explain that to the people, because
Tim Walz signed a bill this last session or last couple of years. It's called the North Star Promise, essentially allowing a student who comes from a household making less than $80,000 a year to go to any state school for free.
Yep.
Yeah. So something like that.
Something like that nationwide.
Minimum making state and community colleges free would be ideal.
Yeah.
But if you're going to make an income cap, do something for that.
I want to take a quick moment here while we're talking about this because in some of the comments, somebody asked, like, how do you guys think that is going to happen? Obama tried, and the Biden administration attempt to pass bills that are addressed everything you're talking about. And it's like, yeah, that's great. Y'all don't get the fuck out and vote down ballot, and that's how that's going to happen, is unless we start putting people in Congress and in the Senate who are not going to gridlock it and not going to stop this stuff from happening, and on your state levels, because a lot of the shit can be passed on a state level. Yeah. Minnesota is a shining example. This is how it happens.
Shining North Star, baby.
North Star example. This is how it happens. You go out and you vote for, school board and county commissioner and mayor and your state congresspeople and your state senators and your congresspeople. And Democrats are horrible about not voting down ticket. And this is why, despite there being more Democrats in the country, we've got a razor-thin split in the Senate every year. There's no fucking reason, because you cannot gerrymander U.S. Senate.
It's population-based.
No, the U.S. Senate is just that's a statewide election.
I mean, it's proportion of the population base. So, like, if you have more people,
no, Senate's just 2 senators per state.
I mean, for voting for them, it's not like
it's just popular vote.
That's what I meant.
Okay, popular vote for Senate. The fact that we do not have an overwhelming majority in the Senate is a left-leaning problem. If you're mad that we don't have universal health care and free colleges, that right there shows exactly why we don't, because it is a razor-thin split in the Senate. The fact that Mitch McConnell has had the power that he's had for all of these years is because y'all don't get out and fucking vote in midterms. Y'all don't get out and vote in primaries. Y'all don't get out and vote down ballot. That's how these things get passed. The president can only sign bills. They can't write legislation.
Well, they can write legislation, but they can't pass it.
Yeah, I don't think a president can write. They can ask for legislation to be
written. They can work with lawmakers to make it.
Yeah. So that's just it, and that's what we're getting at is like it's important to keep up the enthusiasm, and yeah, the enthusiasm's great because that comes from the top of the ticket.
Right.
But that enthusiasm needs to be translated to down ballot votes. That enthusiasm needs to be translated to midterms, and midterms is really where it falls apart.
Vote blue, down ballot too.
Exactly, right there. It needs to be a bumper sticker.
Right. And honestly, spending a month every year, up like not even a month, call it a couple weeks before the election, like focusing on local electors or elective officials, and like spending like a couple hours every year. Like we should be running this shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where it comes from. So, yeah, we need to stop looking at what Obama and Biden tried to pass and start looking at why they couldn't pass it.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Now, absolutely, gerrymandering in Congress is a problem. Gerrymandering in state politics is a huge problem. And that is an obstacle that definitely needs to be overcome and adjusted, but we can't even start to do that if nobody's willing to show up and vote.
Yeah, we need to create a federalized gerrymandering board, essentially, for House of Representatives, like we are trying to do on state by state basis. Instead of leaving it up to the Supreme Court to decide. Like, we need an independent committee to be deciding that.
Absolutely. Across the board. Like, yeah, it needs to be.
Because the Supreme Court's fucking fucked right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Supreme Court's the most corrupt section of our government, which is an impressive bar to have cleared.
It truly is. It like to be right up there with like the best of the best of the most corrupt fucking individuals in our political environment. You got to really try hard.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even like to be up there. They are heads and shoulders above even like.
Well, I would only push back against that because most of the politicians that are in Congress and House of Representatives are taking money, just not in direct ways like the Supreme Court people have.
Right. But there's still levels of accountability for all of them. Now, a lot of them aren't actioned.
That's what I'm saying. You can easily hide it all, and you
can. I'm not arguing that they're not corrupt. I'm saying that the Supreme Court is corrupt because they A, are taking it directly, and B, there is absolutely no lever of accountability aside from impeachment from the people that they are protecting.
Right.
So, like, there's no lever of accountability for the Supreme Court. They are
true.
Objectively the most corrupt people in Washington, which I said, again, is an incredibly high bar to clear.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that for sure.
I didn't know Clarence Thomas was that athletic, but
yeah, he's doing it. He's doing it. So basic necessities like healthcare, education, obviously fucking public education for,
none of this charter school fucking voucher bullshit.
Fucking right-wing wet dream that doesn't actually help them all that much.
Hey, let's steal money from poor people and give it to rich kids. That's going to help our education outcomes.
Exactly. And then obviously you have our political, machine that is enabling corporations and super PACs to have way too much fucking power and influence via Citizens United. We need a fucking constitutional amendment that states corporations are not and cannot be people because they can never die.
Yes.
Fucking A. How do you like miss that part of the whole being a person
and
thing?
Also, like, corporations aren't subject to the same like laws.
A corporation can't murder somebody. No. It's a person working for a corporation that murders somebody, right? So therefore, corporation can't be a person.
Yeah, it's fucking mind blowing.
And we don't have fucking ranked choice voting. Fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
Vote for that.
Abortion rights used to be universal across the country.
Right? Yeah, let's fucking get that. Like, we need to be, this is stuff we need to be pushing for. Obviously, Kamala and Tim are really pushing for that specifically. Yeah. They are leaning into that, so I'll give them credit where credit's due on that fact.
But the fact that that's what we're fighting for, the battle we already won
right
50 fucking years ago.
Exactly.
And now it's like, no, this is the fight we need to refight again. Like, we can't move forward with anything else because we have to fight the shit that...
We need to solidify this as a constitutional amendment once again.
Yeah. What else? Climate goals. That's a huge one, guys. The fact that we're still putting off climate shit at this point.
Yeah,
Like
Biden had a really good shot at doing something, and he basically did nothing except give the oil companies more opportunities to drill.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you're giving him enough credit on that. He has given the biggest green energy bill funding, infrastructure funding in our country's history
Via the infrastructure bill?
Via the infrastructure bill, yeah. So like, and they're not touting that enough, but
that's fair.
It's credit where it's due.
It's a drop in the bucket.
It's a drop in the bucket, and that is the problem.
We've talked about this before, and there's an insane amount of infrastructure that needs to be built in order for us to even meet the infrastructure requirements to build the energy producing fucking requirements. Like, we're not even close. And that bill is like, well, I think it allocated like a couple $100 billion to that, and we need like 10 times that amount.
I mean, we really need World War II level investment in infrastructure, or like New Deal level investment in infrastructure in renewable energy and just climate solutions in general. It's not just renewable energy; it's public transportation, it's rail, it's a conglomerate of things. We need that now. And we can do it. We did it as a country. We transformed the country in a decade between 1930 and say a decade and a half, 1930 to 1945. Like the country was brought into the new era. We were the cutting edge of all technology. Going from the biggest depression in our history. We can do it when we choose to fund things. We can do it when we're like, this is what we're going to do. We are going to put a man on the moon, not because it's easy, but because it's hard type of shit. And we did that. It was the impossible at the time. And that's where climate needs to be. And we're just, so we're giving credence to troglodytes who are still like, oh, I don't know. It's just a warm day today. It's all fake. It's a conspiracy that includes the entire world.
That's my point, is that we are at a critical point, and Biden has not made that abundantly clear that that's his priority or a major priority for him. Sure, it was part of the IRA, but it needs to be its own, that same level investment that was spread across the country needs to be entirely based on electrical infrastructure.
Absolutely. Yeah. But again, he's done more than anybody else so far. So credit where it's due.
Yeah, I mean, good. Good job of stepping on the lowest bar once again. That's been set for our presidencies. Another low bar that he has stepped above is the amount of labor protections and just pro-labor policies that Biden and Kamala have worked for, and that Kamala is actually a very, very pro-union candidate. So like, I feel very strongly that
Kamala, bud.
Kamala? That's not what I said?
No, saying Kamala. Sorry. It's a pet peeve of some people, so.
Okay.
Kamala.
Okay.
Sorry. It is important, though. It is important.
I don't know. I've listened to the name like 1,000 times over the last 3 weeks, and I've heard it both ways a million fucking times. And I understand to an extent.
Yeah. And honestly, the more they talk about it, the harder it is for me to remember, because it's like you get corrected. I haven't. I don't think I fucked it up yet. I probably have and haven't been corrected on it, but like, it's one of those things where it's like you hear it all the time, and like half the time when people are mispronouncing it, I don't like register it. It just goes in and comes out, and like my brain's like, this is what it's supposed to mean, like human brains do. And then it's like when people bring it up, I'm like, what did I say? Am I saying it wrong? I don't fucking know.
But we're also almost an hour into this episode, so
yeah, that's true.
We've been yelling a lot. Anyways, she's pro-union, so I'm happy with her level of support for unions.
Yep.
But it needs to continue. Then I think it's the PRO Act, I think, is passed in the House and is waiting for the Senate to approve it.
There's also been a big increase in antitrust enforcement, not nearly as big as it needs to be, but big compared to.
Lena Khan is a superstar right now in the antitrust world.
So that's been huge under the Biden-Harris administration. That we're actually like, hey, we should enforce these laws maybe once or twice,
right?
A century at this point, because that was the Reagan administration just like, let's just not enforce this anymore, and then unfortunately, Reagan, through every president, didn't matter if it was Democrat or Republican, took the Chicago theory of economics on antitrust enforcement, and it hasn't been good.
No, now basically the Chicago School of Economics has not been favorable for regular people. Ever.
No.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's where like the Keynesian stuff came from, the Chicago School of Economics.
It just became when Reagan appointed Bill Baxter to the head of the antitrust division. He's like, yeah, I believe in the Chicago School. And it's like, again, it's like putting DeJoy as the head of the post office. It's like, I don't want this system to work, so I'm going to break it. And that's what he did. He rewrote the policy of like, we don't enforce it unless it's like a really painfully obvious lateral merge, and even then, meh.
Right.
And then if it's like really blatantly obvious price fixing, maybe we'll look into it. But that's like the only policy for antitrust enforcement. He rewrote the policy for that, and then Clinton's like, yeah, that looks good. And then, I mean, Bush was obviously part of the Reagan administration anyway, and so on and so forth, all the way through Obama through Trump. And now the Biden administration is the first one that's actually like pushing back and like, we should prosecute some of this shit and at least, make big companies scared again of becoming too big. So I got to give him props there. Sorry, not to derail it all again, but
yeah, I mean, and then obviously you have, the fucking genocide going on in Palestine and Biden's and Kamala's lack of, at least cutting off additional weaponry sent out, like.
To be fair,
it's one thing if it's just like you're sending like more ammo for defensive like capabilities, and that's it. But like to send more things that are offensive in nature, it's like unexcusable.
1,000%. And to be fair, I feel like Kamala has had a bit more of a ceasefire stance than the administration as a whole has put forward. And I mean, Biden has been like, yeah, don't go there, we won't fund you anymore. And then Netanyahu goes there and he's like, okay, well, like, you shouldn't have done that, but here's some more stuff. Kamala, and again, it's politically advantageous for her to be like, I support a ceasefire at this point. Yeah, what are you muttering over there?
Trying to make sure I don't fucking say her name wrong again.
Don't worry about it, man. You're not saying it incorrectly intentionally, so like,
if I just like repeat it 10 times in my head, it'll probably stick for another 20 minutes at least. No, I mean, her stance has not been made public enough for my liking.
No, it hasn't been. And honestly, this has been probably the most legitimate criticism of Walz as well. Although it gets hard to take these criticisms seriously because I am very much, pro ceasefire, pro Palestine. I'm very critical of Israel, and the really pro Palestine people like are taking it to a level where it's like, I want to support you and I can't because you're taking it too fucking far. Like, people are like, fuck Walz, he's a Zionist. It's like, no, he said, which is what we've all been trained to believe for years, and he was a governor. He's got nothing to do with foreign policy. He's just like, Israel has a right to defend itself. And you know what? Had you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said the same thing. Same thing. Like, that's what we all grew
up 1 year ago.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I had picked up on the history just because I was studying history a bit more. Probably 2-3 years ago, I really started to be like, okay, this is not not the greatest. And I understood, because I understood how Israel came to be, and I was like, it's sort of a fucked up way that they're just like marched and like, this is ours now, and then and then we supported them, and it's like, that's why we've had all this unrest in the Middle East. But really growing in that understanding, it's like, all right, we have a lot of unlearning to do as a society in this country, because there's been a lot of pro-Israeli propaganda for our entire lives, for decades,
right. For our parents' lives, our grandparents' lives.
Since Israel has been a country, basically. Right. And that's the thing. Like, he hasn't come out with any like overarching stance on Israel. It's just like, when asked about it, he's like, yeah, I think they have a right to defend themselves, but I think there should be a ceasefire. Like,
yeah, I mean, honestly, at this point, just if you're saying there needs to be a ceasefire, that's all you're gonna say, it's like, fine, like, I'll take that. I guess if you actually want to put out like a stance at all, then no, that doesn't count really as a stance to me. But it's like, if you're gonna talk about it, then like, and you don't want to make a stance, but you like, you could say that, I guess.
But then on the pro-Palestinian, like, and I'm pro-Palestinian, like, so it's hard for me to say this, but on the very militant pro-Palestinian side, it's like, if they aren't 100,000% in line with my exact views and say exactly what I like, I'm not going to vote for them. And it's like, okay, do you want to know what the fucking alternative is? It is.
Well, that's just the left in general, but specifically on this issue, it comes very starkly.
And that's the problem, is it's like, okay, I get it. I really do get it from an idealistic standpoint. From a pragmatic standpoint, what's going to result in fewer people dying? What is going to result in, and that's the thing, is because there's no brake pedal on the right for this at all. No. At least on the left, they know that people are upset about this.
40,000 people protesting upset.
Some sort of accountability for this, and there's a brake pedal on that side. It's not the accountability. We're not getting the accountability we want on it.
It's barely making a difference at all, but it is there.
And it's like, so that's what you're doing. Are you willing to let even more people die for your protest vote on that situation? And I mean, it would be full annihilation. It would go beyond genocide at that point. It would be,
I mean, it's not going to take that much more to get. I mean, they basically annihilated 90% of the infrastructure in Palestine. So it's like, the next step is just all the people.
Yeah,
like there is no more Gaza City.
And
like, it's rubble.
And Trump would give a green light to that in a heartbeat. Like,
he wouldn't care. He'd be like, if you guys do what you got to do, like, kill the terrorists.
100%.
All the terrorist children.
And then it's starting to feel disingenuous with the activism, because once again, it's like, I totally get you protesting at all of these Democratic events. And I've been to some of these Democratic events, walked to the protesters, I've seen it firsthand, and I'm like, absolutely, all for it, go for it, make your voices heard. Where the fuck are you at the RNC? Where the fuck are you at the Trump rallies? Where the fuck are you at the same places? Where the fuck are you at all these Republican Congress people who are voting for the same shit? If you're saying, I'm not willing to vote for, Kamala, I'm not willing to vote for Biden, I'm not willing to vote for Democrats who support this, who are you willing to vote for, and why aren't you holding the other party accountable and seeing if they're willing to change their stance on it?
Well, I think they know that there's only one party that could possibly change their stance on it, and that's not the Republicans. So if I'm organizing people and I'm trying to convince them that protesting has a possibility of making a difference, I'm going to route my efforts towards one direction.
That's fair. But then, in a sense, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're saying these are the bad people that aren't doing what we want, so we're protesting against them. Then the alternatives to, if you don't get exactly what you want in that, is A, not voting for them, or voting for the opposition.
I think if that's your stance, that you're not going to vote Democrat until they do that one thing, I think that's a bad stance. But I totally understand only protesting Democrat events and Democrat candidates, because they're the only ones that are going to possibly listen.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. If that's your stance, that's where
this movement has kind of led to. This has been the biggest, I think, unrest.
Is it led, or is it always just been there? Like, that's just politics in general. Like, that's just always the thing. Like,
maybe. I don't know. It seems much more prevalent.
I don't. It doesn't bother me that's like. It bothered me that anybody has that like when it comes down to the voting, that you have that opinion, but it like the farthest you go on either side is gonna do the crazy shit. So like I don't care about it.
No. All right, fair enough.
But I guess the biggest picture here is like the actual, democratizing the workplaces to allow change in capitalist structures, to nationalizing fucking water production, oil production, the basic needs of humanity in order to build homes and fucking live. We need more of those things, like electrical production, obviously, to not have a fucking profit motive.
Yep.
Why are we giving away profit to something that you need to exist?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, you agree. It doesn't make sense to you. Like, these are things that we need to be pushing for.
And it clearly hasn't made prices better. It clearly hasn't made us more efficient. Like, all of the bullshit lines that they've given us about privatization, none of them have come to fruition.
No.
Like,
none of it. It's all a fucking lie. They all take their subsidies and fucking run with it. And they look at like fucking Texas. They don't fucking build up their infrastructure to harden against winter. That's the shit that happens everywhere when you have rampant privatization of basic fucking needs.
Yep, and deregulation, and I mean, like, and that's kind of where we are, and thankfully, I think people are getting pissed enough about it where they're starting to pay attention again, and I'm very hopeful. But the whole point of this episode really was it's feeling good at the moment.
Yeah, the vibes are good.
The vibes are good
with this ticket.
Don't let that make you complacent. Don't let that make you feel like, hey, we're gonna win anyway. I get to stay home. Like, this is a show up and vote down ballot, all the way down to, your zoning board. Vote all the way down.
Well, and not specifically just like because we need to win this election, which we do, but part of the episode is to say, like, this is the first step in pushing an agenda that somebody actually might listen to some of these ideas.
100%. You've got the first person, and he's just vice president, but you've got the first person who has no corporate interest at a real shot at the White House, who has a long, long history of doing what he believes is right for everyone, listening to the people,
which follows the progressive agenda very, very closely. So it's important to give that a voice to listen to. It's important to give that the ability to do everything it can do to move forward, and this is why it's great that we've got the momentum now. Let's keep it to the voting booth in November. And let's push for this agenda when they actually get elected. Like, let's hold them accountable to doing these things. Because just saying it now and then doing nothing about it, like we fucking complain about all the time, is...
Like I said, give them the majority they need to actually pass legislation, and then we'll see what they do with it. And then we know what we need to hold them accountable on in the midterms, in the next elections. We
need the majority in at least one of the two houses.
We need it in both.
We need them in both.
We need it in everything. And that's really, because as soon as they don't have it, that's the excuse for not getting anything done. And you can write a bill that looks great and put it forward when you know it's going to fail, and be like, well, I tried. And
true.
But if you have the votes in the House and the Senate, give them the option to fail, and not have an excuse for it.
Exactly. So, we hold Obama accountable all the time for not for not passing a federal law for protecting abortion rights.
So, yeah. There was a lot of things Obama could have done. Honestly.
Anyways, but so Harris has done a couple good things. The price gouging stuff that's just coming up. Obviously, price gouging is a huge factor in inflation, so it's a double whammy: stopping corporate greed while saving, keeping money in your pockets. And then hopefully Walz will want to go after Ticketmaster on a national level, like you did with the Taylor Swift bill here in Minnesota. If you don't know what that is, definitely check it out. It's really great stuff. And then I wanted to hear what your take was about this housing proposal that she's made, where she wants to give first-time home buyers credits for down payment assistance, and she wants to just build a bunch of fucking homes.
I think it's great. That's what we did following the Second World War with all of the New Deal housing projects and the post-war housing projects. That's what Obama did with the first-time home buyer housing credit. it was my biggest problem with the first-time homebuyer housing credit was when I was going to buy a house, it was already expired and I couldn't get it, you know? But like that's the thing is those types of incentives help level the playing field for the people who have, you know, taken more cookies out of the jar in the real estate market, and made it harder for people who just want a home for themselves to live in and not, you know, an investment property or anything like that.
Exactly.
To make it. So I think it's great. I think that it doesn't go far enough, but I think it goes further than anything we have right now, and I'm in full support of it.
Yeah. So yeah, keep them accountable by voting down ballot. Right?
Yeah,
that's the only way we can.
What it is, show up and vote all the way down. There's just no excuse not to. And like I said, the fact until we have an iron grip on the Senate, y'all aren't doing enough. Y'all aren't showing up because Senate are popular vote races, statewide statewide popular vote races. They cannot be gerrymandered. It's you guys not showing up to vote. Once we get there, then we can start looking at other reasons as to why we're not getting stuff. But if you're not doing your part, it's hard to fix the other parts that actually have real problems.
And the president isn't going to fix them all.
No,
especially without both the houses. So
yep. So vote down ballot and yeah, let's do something. We've got an option for real change. We got a lot of people excited. Let's keep it on. Keep on keeping on.
Let's do it.
All right, guys. We've gone over again as usual. It's I don't even think we have a legitimate time we stick to anymore.
You know, it'd be nice to just be like at an hour. I think.
I mean, we're pretty close.
Yeah,
there.
hour 10. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Not as bad as it's been in the past,
No.
but. Once again, we appreciate the hell out of all you guys sticking around, hanging out, listening to us, watching us if you do so in video format on YouTube. If you tune into our lives when we record this in real time and get the sneak previews, then you know, we appreciate the hell out of you guys doing that too. If you want to support us, there's lots of ways to do that. First is just tuning in and watching. Like, this is why we do this, is because you guys listen to us for some reason or other. You know, you want to hear what we have to say, and we love that. We appreciate that, and that is the best way to support us. But this does cost us money and a hell of a lot of time to do. So we sell merch on offyourwagon.com, both my merch and Let Them Eat Toast merch. We got a Patreon.
Yep, we got a Let Them Eat Toast Patreon. Love all the members there. You can interact with us directly there. Message us directly. If you become a member, we can talk about answering some questions on the show, something like that. And then
we'll start doing some appreciation, subscriber appreciation stuff for the people who support us financially. You can subscribe to me on TikTok. I got a couple bucks, like $3 a month option and a $5.99. I don't know what it is. I signed up for it. A few people do that, and I appreciate y'all. If more of you do that, it means a lot. I know you don't get a lot from it. Otherwise, just saying thank you for putting the effort in.
Just subscribe and share. Like minimum.
And then yeah, we've got subscriptions on YouTube as well, paid subscriptions on YouTube as well as just the regular subs. So
if there's another person out here that likes this sticker, then you could buy that sticker. Put
yeah,
designed it myself.
Yeah, it's an awesome sticker. You should check it out. But anyway, it's a lot less complex than our original logo, which I do like.
It's simple and fun.
It is, and I like both the logos. But that's a fun. Anyway, I'm done rambling, begging you guys to send us money. It's just we definitely appreciate it when you support us. It makes it easier to do this because we put a lot of time, effort, money, blood, sweat, tears. Headaches, alcohol,
Well, and we love to interact with you guys. So, we just like to hear from our fans. So
we absolutely do. So, love you guys. We will see you next week.
Thanks
for tuning in.
As always.